Have you ever been working on something internally and you pull on a thread and then like 10 more things come out with that? You are not a failure for that. That is your nervous system telling you that these things live together. Think of trauma recovery like a tangled ball of yarn. Sometimes when you pull on one thing, it tightens another thing. Sometimes when you pull on one thing, you see the knot that that thing is connected to and the 4 or 10 other things that that's connected to. In somatic experiencing, we go gently, we go one knot at a time so that each of them releases and doesn't cinch further. We work from the periphery in, so we're working with the things that we have the capacity to discharge so that when we get to those other knots, right, we're not undoing knots that we don't have the capacity for. That's the other thing. So all of this is what we call coupling dynamics. It's where images, sensations, feelings, beliefs, behaviors all get over-coupled in together. And often contradictory things are coupled together. For example, anger might be tied to fear, rest might be tied to danger, intimacy might be tied to shame. Let's say you go to reach for healthy anger, but some part of you suddenly slams the brakes, or your chest tightens and an old image comes up. That is not you backsliding, that's an over-coupled knot showing itself. And the good news is that knots are meant to be untied. So here are 3 practical steps that you can do when you are tracking one thread and another thread shows up. So number 1, you just say, something else is here. Pause and notice what's happening in your body. Where is this happening in my body? Step 2, we're going to shift to a resource of some kind. That's anything other than the original thread and the second thing that's coming up. So that's going to be orienting to your room through your senses. That's going to be grounding yourself, placing a hand on the front of your forehead here and the other one on the back. There's a lot of different ways to resource yourself, bringing in the image of an animal or the presence of somebody else. This is also a part of step 2. Now you're going to ask yourself, between the original thing that came up and the second thing that came up after that, which one do I want to pendulate with? So let's say you choose the second thing that came up after the first piece. So if you were following anger and then the shutdown happened, now we're going to get curious about the shutdown and we're going to pendulate between the shutdown and the resource, meaning that we move back and forth, spend a longer time on the resource and then touch into the shutdown. Follow that and use that process to take this as far to completion as you can. Things to look for are that the emotion becomes tolerable, that your breath returns to a normal rate, that your muscles soften, or if there was like very low muscle tone, that they've come back to some kind of solidness. Maybe some shaking, some sighs, the images or whatever was coming up feel farther away. It feels like you have more access to choice, meaning you can engage or disengage without losing yourself. And once you feel yourself back to this moment, to some sort of baseline, then we'll go back in and track and pendulate with another wave, or we'll say another one of those knots. Now, what I'm giving you here is not at all the full picture of coupling dynamics, but it's a good start. And if you like this video and you want me to make one right after this, where I go into the possible things that can be coupled and how I work with uncoupling, the specifics of those things, like some of what I named around anger and shutdown, or intimacy and fear, or rest and threat, then let me know and I'll continue to go a little bit more deeply into this topic.